Hello everyone, this is King Gratz here. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time since I last posted a video, guys, but bear with me. I've got a lot of stuff to do outside of YouTube. I'm making this video roughly a week out from the NHL's trade deadline for 2025, which will be on March 7th, which is this Friday. This video is going to essentially just cover basically two trades that we had this afternoon. I just wanted to give my initial thoughts. Of course, we've already had a lot of proactiveness from the contending clubs in the league for trade discussions and trying to get the last pieces of their puzzle. But two trades did go down today, and let's talk about them. So, first off, we have the Colorado Avalanche, who have acquired Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and Hank Kemp from the New York Rangers for Juuso Parssinen, Calvin DeHaan, a second round pick in 2025, and a fourth round pick in 2025. The conditions regarding the picks are that the second rounder will either be Carolina's or New York's own pick this year, and the latter, which is the fourth rounder, will be the better of the Avalanche or the Canucks selection in the fourth round. That's pretty much what we have going on here. At the same time, the Rangers are going to retain 50% of Ryan Lindgren's cap hit, which is $4.5 million. So therefore, his cap hit now with Colorado is at 2.25 million. Of course, he is a unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, so he could obviously move on from Colorado at the end of the year. 27 years old, he's technically having a career year points-wise, as he's got 19 points in 54 games while averaging around 20 minutes a night playing for New York. So it's not too bad of a sample size. With regards to the two teams here, I do have a couple of questions I'd like to ask. So first of all, with Colorado, getting Ryan Lindgren does help out their defense core. So guys, as you can see, this is using Puckpedia here. We can see the roster of the Colorado Avalanche. And if you look at the D core, once again, Ryan Lindgren does help out supplementing the depth of the defensemen for Colorado. They did lose at least one guy to LTIR this year, but more like a seventh defenseman, in my opinion, for Tucker Poolman. And right now, Lindgren probably will slot in either on the third pair or maybe the second pair. It really depends. But you've already got a grade A option in Cale Makar and Devon Taves as a great pairing. Samuel Girard, Josh Manson certainly either make up the second pair or maybe the switch between the second and third pair. Oliver Shillington has tagged in recently for the lineup, and he's been looking not too bad. And Sam Malinsky has also been playing and really has been under the radar, but he has definitely been a decent defenseman for them at this point in time. I would have to think that Lindgren most likely is going to play a top six role for the time being. I'm not sure if Colorado's just going to do this as this is their all-in move for defense for this deadline. If it is, it doesn't look too bad. But I do have to question the other things that they were able to acquire here. Jimmy Vesey is at this point probably a fourth liner. He definitely has fallen back down to earth with his time in New York. He hasn't been great compared to his past season. At the same time, Hank Kemp is a prospect that honestly I have no idea about. All we know is that he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He hails from the state of Illinois. There is some interesting stuff here, as we know that Kemp is 22 and he's currently playing at Cornell University, so we know he's in the NCAA. But he hasn't really had a great run. He's played 28 games this year, and he only has 2 goals and 7 points. And he was a former seventh round selection back in 2021. So most likely he's not going to turn into anything. No disrespect to him, but I mean, he's played 4 years in the NCAA, and that's all I can really say about him right now. So that's pretty much that. New York's side of the deal, getting Juuso Parssinen and Calvin DeHaan are okay. I mean, DeHaan is a veteran. He's played roughly half a season with Colorado this season, but he's only had about 7 points, and all of those were assists. For Juuso Parssinen, he's already been traded once this year, as he went from Nashville to Colorado earlier this season, and he hasn't really been anything close to what they were expecting. For a guy who's 24, can play center, has a bit of skill, definitely nothing really worked out in that regard. Honestly, for Parsonen, I'm not really sure what he is going to be. He is expiring in 2025. Same with Calvin DeHaan. It's unclear though what exactly Parsonen's future is going to look like, especially with New York at this point. For the Rangers, the second round pick isn't too bad. I mean, knowing that it's either going to be theirs or Carolina's kind of hurts a little bit because I would expect that it's basically their own pick that they're getting back here. So it's not like they're necessarily picking up anybody else's mistake, I guess. The fourth rounder is also something that I don't think is really going to turn into anything significant in the fourth round. It's either the Avalanche or it's going to be the Canucks' pick. So you're probably looking at best like a mid-round selection. So when we look at these two teams, in my opinion, I'm going to say for Colorado, I'm going to give them a B minus. I like the move for Lindgren because it helps shore up the defense. VC doesn't really make much sense though. I guess you could slot him in the bottom six if you want. But yeah, other than that, really Lindgren's a big piece here. And they did get 50% retention, but I just don't like what they had to give up, honestly. And for the Rangers, I'll give them a B plus. I mean, they did get a pair of draft picks. I'm assuming both of those are the price for retaining 50% on Lindgren, so good on them, even if they are getting their own second round pick back. And Parsonen is a young guy that they could slot in for now. Well, DeHaan, I'm assuming, is probably going to be at best their seventh defenseman at the moment, and I don't think he's going to be much of a factor for them. But either way, they save a bit on their cap. They sold at a time where it kind of looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, at least considering the number of teams that are ahead of them. And, fair game from them. Okay, the next trade we have is Gustav Nyquist being traded from the Nashville Predators to the Minnesota Wild, straight up for a second round pick in 2026. So here's the interesting part. If anyone remembers, a couple years ago, Nyquist himself was traded to the Minnesota Wild as part of a trade deadline deal in 2023 before he would sign with the Predators. Now, Nyquist is an NHL veteran. He's played at least a decade in the league, and he's had a lot of experience. This guy's 35 years old. He can play center. He is also a UFA at the end of the season. And I mean, he's not bad, but last year was his career year by a landslide. I mean, the Predators last year definitely surprised a lot of people, but he himself had a career year in so many aspects. Basically, when you look at Nyquist's stats, his number this year is not great. He's only had 9 goals, and 4 of them are empty netters, and he's only got 21 points in 57 games. Last year, he had 52 assists and 75 points in 81 outings, which is absolutely ludicrous, especially considering that I think his career high before that was 54, and that was like I'm going to say 5 years ago. So that is an absurdly decline that we've seen with him in just a year. He has played in Minnesota already, as I mentioned. He tallied 5 points in 3 regular season games and another 5 assists in 6 playoff games back in 2023. So it's not like he didn't fit. It's just they couldn't keep him at the time. At the same time, Nashville is retaining 50% of Nyquist's cap hit, which was originally at $3.185 million, which isn't too bad. So that brings him down to just under $1.6 million for Minnesota. So that's pretty good. I have to admit the second round pick is kind of steep. This is something that I probably wouldn't have given up for Nyquist. I'm guessing the only reason why it is a second round pick is because they asked for retention on him. In my opinion, I thought you could have gotten better options for him. So moving back to Puckpedia here, looking at the Wild roster right now, they are dealing with a couple of injuries and suspensions. They lost Kirill Kaprizov for the time being. He's on LTIR. Joel Eriksson Ek is also on the IR, and Ryan Hartman is still suspended. So they are already down like 3 major forwards. At the moment, Gustav Nyquist is probably, I'm going to say, at minimum, their third line center. They still have some solid players here that can play center. Frederick Gaudreau, Marcus Johansson, Jakub Trenin, who they did sign that big contract, as you can see here, 4 years. They also have youngster Marco Rossi, who's been playing really good this year, and then some younger guys, or not younger, but let's just say decent veterans who perhaps could play a little bit more, like Devin Shore, Vinny Hinostroza, or whatnot. If you look at it, though, out of the 12 forwards currently in the roster breakdown here, I'm going to say probably half of these guys can only play center, which is a little bit too much. I mean, for one, I thought maybe Minnesota could have gone for something along the lines of a winger who perhaps is a little more versatile, maybe plays center and either left or right wing. I'm not sure if Nyquist can even play any other position. So, in my humble opinion, I thought that you could have probably done better. So with everything that I've now said, guys, in my opinion, I have to give as a trade grade an A minus to Nashville and a C plus for Minnesota. In my opinion, I think that for Nashville, the fact they got a second round pick for Gustav Nyquist is actually a massive win considering the down year he's had and the dumpster fire the team is this year. And for Minnesota, I think they could have probably gotten better options and they didn't have to waste a massive pick on a guy who is in his mid 30s and may just leave in the offseason. Anyway, but that's all I got. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.